G'day everyone, welcome back to Delightfully Devilish. I'm your host Jukebox Harry and it feels great to be back after more than a year. And let me tell you, it's been a busy ass year since I was last on YouTube because I traveled around America for a month and had the road trip of my life. I have worked on multiple major and independent productions and I even directed my own feature-length horror film. But I'm not going to be talking about that right now. That's going to come later because today I'm here to talk about a film that so perfectly meets the criteria of being the good, the bad, and the ugly that it inspired me to come back and tell you all about it. Houseguest is a 1995 comedy movie directed by Randall Miller and starring Phil Hartman and Sinbad. And I just want to stop for a second and talk about this movie poster. This looks like something that was mass-produced by Hallmark and just had Sinbad's head stuffed onto it, but through the mail slot. Then it looks like it was given a tagline that has the creativity of a modern-day Dave Chappelle stand-up special. The poster for Houseguest honestly reminds me a lot of the poster for Uncle Buck starring John Candy, and ironically, John Candy was actually the original choice for Sinbad's role in the film. But nonetheless, if you think that poster is mediocre, let's just take a look at the home media cover for a second. This was the VHS and DVD cover, and I don't even think they tried to design anything with this one. I think they just took a publicity still and were like, yep, slap a title on it, we're done.
I'm never going home.
Oh, man, you probably feel like I did when I found out they weren't going to do a house guest, too. It's rough in the beginning, man. But you know what? It gets worse, yeah.
I had never heard of Houseguest before 2023. It got some throwaway references in episodes of both American Dad and Community.
I will bite your little finger off and I will eat it. Then, let's see you type more descriptions of my Houseguest era Sinbad wardrobe.
But they were thrown at the audience so quickly that I didn't even notice. Otherwise, I would have gone into full Abed Nadir research mode, looked that movie up, and probably made this video months ago. No, this movie was recommended to me by my partner, who watched it with her family a lot growing up and said it'd be perfect Delightfully Devilish criteria.
She was right.
Yes, I'm reading a review script off the laptop. The next note I've got just says, finish this section. So, I don't really know what else to put here.
Start the movie! Start the movie!
Houseguest opens with a young boy named Kevin Franklin holding another boy in a water fountain to collect the coins, displeasing the nun who takes care of him.
Poseidon learned to apply himself at something other than mischief, and he became ruler of the sea.
Hey Penguin, there's only one ruler of the sea in this house. That's former Prime Minister Harold Holt. Don't you forget it. This goes nowhere before cutting to a very specific modern day where Kevin is now played by Sinbad, driving around a shitbox and monologuing about nothing. It's mostly just shots of him driving around, and considering this film is 109 minutes long, it's not like this was necessary to pad the running time, but it provides a backdrop to the intro credits, so I guess it has its reasoning.
Oh, we have salt for the children, we have cholesterol for the adults, we have fat for the fat people, and sugar for the sugarholics. And for the grown folks, Mickey D's. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, my understanding was that grown folks and adults are the same thing, but more importantly, this scene marks the start of the Houseguest drinking game. Take a drink every time you get one of the many, many, many McDonald's references tied into the script in this film. Kevin has one ambition in life, becoming rich.
Get money, get paid? Okay, we cool.
A streak of unsuccessful get-rich-quick schemes has grown to annoy his best friend and caused his girlfriend to leave him, and she never comes back. There's no book-ended arc where he learns his lesson and wins her back. As a matter of fact, Kevin actually doesn't get any kind of a romantic subplot in this film. They throw this plot point in there and they never come back to it. I gotta say, I fully approve of that. As a kid and as an adult, I don't like tacky romance getting in the way of a silly comedy, and I feel like that's exactly what would have happened here. After the 90s equivalent of a meme compilation, two mobsters bust into Kevin's apartment to collect a $50,000 debt.
Why do people buy this crap?
Hey, where's the dough?
Yeah.
Is that the only thing he knows how to say?
You think you're funny? Don't be funny.
And the entire scene is so frantically cut together from a huge number of shots with an editing style that is akin to Armageddon, which critic Todd McCarthy once said resembles a machine gun stuck in the firing position. And yeah, that's definitely what it feels like here.
Listen to me, Franklin. Happy's getting pissed. And we all know what happens when Happy gets pissed. He's not happy. When he's not happy, he's pissed, you follow me?
Yeah, I think Helen Keller could follow you there, Goonie. Kevin tries to skip town but gets found out at the airport, only to escape them by using a surefire distraction.
Look, Denzel! Denzel Washington! Denzel Washington here in the airport!
Denzel! Where did Denzel go? I guess Denzel must have an appointment or something. Denzel very busy.
He also abandons his pet hamster in the middle of the airport to cause a distraction.
Jump, Deacon, jump!
Enter Phil Hartman, who plays Gary Young, a man waiting at the airport to meet his friend Derek Bond, who he hasn't seen since their days at summer camp.
What does he look like, Dad?
Well, he's around my age, he's black.
How tall is he, Daddy? don't really know, baby. I mean, I haven't seen him in 25 years.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Millions of families suffer every year.
In a desperate move which one could just barely pull off in a world prior to social media, Kevin steals his identity to escape from the mob, as well as some poor rando's bag.
You're gonna commit to this.
The real Derek Bond, on the other hand, is an uptight snob played by Shepard from Firefly.
Gary sent me to tell you that he's very sorry, but you can't stay with him this weekend.
What? Why not?
His wife, man, she's ill. They want you to wear this hat.
No, I don't wear hats.
Man, the woman's in the coma. The least you can do is wear the hat, okay?
I'll wear the hat.
This is the most important. Whatever you do not call the house.
Why not?
Sound triggers it off, man. That phone rings. Bam! I'm talking about vomit coming up. The woman's got the shit. This is ugly, man. Foam is coming out the mouth. You don't want to see that.
Yeah, that's ugly.
So let's quickly recount what's just happened in this scene. After being unable to repay some pretty unreasonable debts, Kevin's efforts to avoid responsibility led him to knock down a whole bunch of people at an airport, abandoning a helpless animal and causing a panic at an airport, committing identity fraud, stealing someone's luggage, and then jeopardizing an entire family's life. He also deceives a man who spent money flying himself in from Baltimore, tricks him into getting assaulted, and then speeds off erratically as hell with a family in the car. You might think the protagonist isn't much of a good person based on all these actions, and quite frankly, you'd be correct. But don't worry, because as I'm sure you can predict, he's going to redeem himself by bringing in street knowledge which is going to save this uptight, upper-class white family from themselves. Like all those other movies where that happened.
I haven't been sane since the accident.
What accident?
I was scuba diving in the Cayman Islands with my friends, and we're out there looking for stingray, and all of a sudden, 2 great white sharks came out of nowhere. Bam! Just attacked us, and it was vicious. It was like I've seen up a Jaws, and it was just bloods and bubbles and butts and everything was there. And then I saw him bite my friend. His head came off, and his eye was on me. His eye was on me. Oh God! Oh, you see? Oh.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
The first 20 minutes of Houseguest are mostly just hastily edited exposition, but this scene is not only the turning point for the movie, I honestly think it is the greatest scene in the film, and it's one I quote from way too much in real life. According to the director, there was an entirely different exchange written here, but Sinbad was prone to improvising on set, and when they saw what he was doing here, everyone told him the same thing: go wilder, go wilder. And he did, until he ended with this insane monologue.
Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene.
I wish I had some Dairy Queen.
When in doubt, sponsored content.
Brought to you by Carl's Jr.
Immediately, Kevin is taken to a school in Sewickley to give a career day speech without any clue what he's meant to talk about.
Well, here goes nothing. Oh, that's it, yeah.
Hey, it's the Confederate flag.
Ooh, a sandwich is a sandwich, but that's a meal. Ooh, I wonder what that'd be like with a nice lemonade.
You'll say anything, won't you? Words don't mean a thing to you, do they?
Throughout the entire presentation, he doesn't actually say anything the slightest bit relevant, and eventually he just stops saying anything at all, but everyone eats it up, except for this guy.
You don't have the slightest idea of what you're talking about, do you?
Well, listen here. So if you know so much about what I do, since you know more than I do, then why don't you come up here, Mr. Smarty Pants, Mr. I don't have a woman?
Well,
why don't you come up here and tell me?
Stop! Stop! He's already dead.
So now we can add public humiliation of a reasonably skeptical intellectual to the list of morally ambiguous decisions Kevin Franklin has made in this movie so far.
Derek, Brooke, sweetie, this is Derek Bond.
Hey.
And this is Brooke's, friend, Steve.
Yo, my man. How many times I gotta tell you I ain't done with Steve, kid? Call me ST3, aight?
Fucking white people.
Hey, man, what's up with the dog?
That was a racist dog.
Later at Gary's luxurious house, we learn another fact about Derek Bond.
Oh! What is that?
Puree of parsnip and crookneck squash.
I thought it was nacho cheese.
No, sir. Only vegetables for the vegetarian.
I'm a vegetarian.
Well, as a vegan myself, I can confirm that nacho cheese is in fact vegetarian friendly. Except in Fiji. Apparently in Fiji, if something's vegetarian there, it means it's vegan in the rest of the world.
I don't know how you do it, Derek. I just don't think I could ever say no to a big, juicy cheeseburger.
Just vegetables for me.
Piece of advice from a vegan: if you want to have vegetarian friends, maybe don't rub your love of meat in their faces, it's not really all that respectful. Quickly we learn that the nuclear family Gary has assembled is not all it's cracked up to be. His wife is overwhelmed, his daughters are either walking into walls or part of the origin story for My Chemical Romance.
Mommy! No.
And he doesn't have the most supportive relationship with his son.
Well, you're gonna have to work harder, son, if you want to make it to the big leagues.
Oh, you want to talk big leagues, Gary? Whilst you're carrying around 2 bottles of Coca-Cola just to pay for this fucking scene? Bam!
Better get ready. You're gonna want to dress nice for the thing tonight.
Oh, yes, The Thing.
Oh, we're gonna go watch The Thing? You don't gotta tell me twice, I love that movie! On this occasion, The Thing is a house party where Kevin shows up with his stolen suit jacket and repeatedly changes his story on what GFH stands for.
What does it stand for?
Gemstones, furs, and haberdasheries. Graduated full honors. Oxford. I guess you would know about that.
I went to Harvard.
Yeah, right. Harvard Street. Oh, it's a gospel group I was with. Godliness, faithful, and honest.
Amen.
Geeks for Hire. It's a temporary service. You'd fit in, y'all would call us. Gas from humans. Girls from the hood. G-strings for the huge. Gotta feed the hungry. Girls feeding the homies.
Is that a joke?
Godliness, faithful, and honest. Good, fine, and healthy. And baby, you it. Bam! You know what I'm saying?
I am not ashamed to say that the last time I was on Tinder, my bio said, ask me what GFH stands for. I am ashamed to say that nobody asked what it stood for, so...
Derek! Ronald Timmerman.
Uh-oh, pedophile alert!
Sure, you must have heard of me. You know, we have a lot of mutual friends.
Man's a diddler. True story. Actor Jeffrey Jones was arrested in 2002 for soliciting a 14-year-old to pose for naked photos. And as such, I'm gonna rub his sick nose in it every chance I get.
Stuffed mushroom?
Oh, gee, can't you see I'm in training? I'm a runner. I'm top seed in the Swickley 5K.
Yeah, you gotta keep on the run from the sex offenders registry, hey? That's another true story. He's been arrested twice for failing to update his status as a sex offender in both 2004 and 2010.
You got your man!
Same. The elitist quaffers drink their wine and party all night, and not once do we see those bottles of Coke from earlier. But at breakfast the next morning, little Jason is drinking Coke.
Okay, but that's worse. I mean, you do get how that's worse, right?
I already signed you up for the Memorial Day 5K. It's to raise money for Sarah's school.
Please, Derek, please.
Yeah, no problem, sure.
Was the real Derek Bond actually anticipating this, or were you just gonna spring it on him too?
A good question. For another time.
Then Kevin makes a run for it, somehow forgetting that if you shut the gate behind you, that a loose dog will likely not follow you. He makes it to, of all places, McDonald's. And in real life, they don't actually have a McDonald's in Sewickley, so the company paid to remodel a bagel shop to run as a functioning McDonald's throughout production, before closing and dismantling it once filming had wrapped.
True story.
The goons track Kevin down, and after escaping once again, he throws his McDonald's bag to a toddler. And McDonald's actually have multiple lawsuits for marketing their unhealthy products towards kids. So this moment suggests that Houseguest is consistent with their track record. Next, we're at a golf course with Gary's casually bigoted boss.
Slap me 5 there, brother. Hey, why if I just slap you?
He also pressures Gary into managing a company in complete competition with his wife.
I could have a conflict of interest. My wife is in the yogurt business.
That's great, so you have the inside track.
Drunken old son. Your balls dirty?
What?
I wash my balls religiously.
In the mouths of 14-year-old boys, apparently.
Quicker you get it in the hole with the least amount of strokes, the better, right?
He's a 35-year-old man, not Anthony Rapp. Just take a step back, Kevin Spacey.
Let me wash your balls for you.
Fuck off.
We'll wash them together.
And again, fuck off.
And just unzip your bag and pull out your balls.
That's a hat trick. Fuck off.
That man is sick!
The goons follow Kevin to the golf course, which turns into Tiger Woods' GTA Tour 95, a chase scene composed of an unusually large number of shots, many of which are either repeated or sped up. And I have to admit, I have never seen any movie that has more sped up footage than Houseguest. And it always happens when the characters are driving. That's the second rule of the drinking game. Take a drink every time you see characters driving on fast forward. Amid the chase, Cracker Barrel falls off the cart and fractures his tooth, meaning that the best dentist around has to work his magic.
This man needs a dentist. Ron, check him out.
Well, why don't you?
Yeah. This is Pennsylvania. You know, this is out of my jurisdiction. I could lose my license.
He's out of line, but he's right.
I think this man needs a root amputation to avoid periodontal ligament trauma, and if I were doing it, I'd administer 7.2 cc's of xylocaine with epinephrine.
I know some of these words.
After accidentally numbing his hands with Novocaine and numbing the patient Jonathan Major style, he successfully extracts the tooth, while a large number of dental professionals watch a man who is supposedly out of his jurisdiction performing surgery. Kevin has committed a lot of misdeeds in this film, particularly in the last few minutes, but realistically, a room full of dental professionals should not be encouraging illegal practice of dental surgery, especially in a country which gives out more malpractice lawsuits than it does general healthcare. Then Gary and Kevin are sitting atop a bridge eating, you guessed it, Mickey D's. But apparently nobody brought anything for Derek the vegetarian. Nonetheless, he gives in and just eats meat anyway.
I have weaknesses. I'm trying to fight them. Sometimes they get the best of me. Please don't judge me for this.
I actually spent a good amount of time theorizing that McDonald's had a clause in the contract for this film saying that if they mocked the absolute shit out of vegetarianism, they might be given an extra $1 million towards the film's budget. I mean, let's face it, vegetarianism is obviously not their market, unless you think of those salads.
Who the fuck want a goddamn salad from fucking McDonald's?
Turns out McDonald's didn't actually put any money into this movie. They just made a whole bunch of McDonald's jokes because the director found it funny.
Facted!
It also really doesn't make sense for a rich upper middle class father stereotype to be indulging in low income grease trap food. But then again, I try not to judge people for what they eat. Unlike some of the writing in this film. BAM! Then Kevin gets tasked with taking care of the kids.
Who cat likes to rock and roll? Who cat likes to love and sing? Who cat likes to boogie boogie boo?
At risk of being spotted by the goons again, Kevin forces Jason to drive while he operates the pedals, leading to more car shots and more sped up footage.
Bunch of kids out joyriding. What's the world coming to, Paulie? Thank you very much, Mr. Apostopoulos. Who? You know, you're so stupid. He's only the most major philosophist around alive today.
Now he's a philosophizer.
After dropping Jason at the court and seeing him get bullied by the bigger kids, Kevin challenges them to a game.
If you guys win, we'll give you, the red Volvo over there. And if we win, we get, your clothes.
Our clothes?
Oh, he's a genius. He's the smart one.
Stakes have never been higher.
Whose house is it? Say it like you mean it.
My house!
My name is Sinbad. This is Sinbad's house. When you're in Sinbad's house, you my bitch.
Through a mix of his own natural skill and repeatedly physically assaulting minors, they emerge victorious and walk off leaving a bunch of kids in their underwear. And it's a relief to see Jeffrey Jones wasn't present in this scene, but I can't help but wonder if he asked for copies of the dailies. Then we're back at the kitchen table, not eating Mickey D's. And this entire scene is again very frantically edited so that there's no space to breathe.
Did you know the last thing Edgar Allan Poe ate before he died was broccoli?
Did you know pigeons die when they have sex? I mean, the one I fucked did.
Derek, it's for you. It's Larry from the tattoo parlor.
Oh, cat's out the bag. It was gonna be a gift to my host from their house guest house.
He said it! He said it!
And just what kind of a gift would someone from a tattoo parlor have for a family?
Larry from the tattoo parlor? You couldn't think anything better than that?
It was a gift for the family the best that you could think of?
Oh my God!
This is a Harley! What the hell is this?
It's a stencil, dickhead. Did you write off before he had a chance to actually tattoo you? The craft throws a hissy fit over not being noticed by her parents and probably the fact she was born before Evanescence dropped Bring Me to Life.
Right before Anne Sexton killed herself, she asked her daughter to promise that the words "rats live on, no evil star" would be written on her grave.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Kevin goes to talk to her where she reveals she knows of her boyfriend's infidelity.
Listen to me, okay? I can't see any woman being finer than you.
Whoa, slow down, Kevin. This movie already has one pedophile in the cast.
I mean, you are a beautiful woman, and you got it going on, all right? You just with the wrong guy. I know there's another guy out there somewhere, right? I knew you had some other guy in your pocket.
Charles Baudelaire, the great poet of moral decay.
You got to get over this thing for dead guys. I mean,
well, if she's into dead guys this much, she could just become a mortician.
Bang me, eat me, grind me up into little pieces, throw me in the river. Who gives a shit? You're dead, you're dead.
Big spin.
Yes! Baby!
Hide the money, y'all! There's poor people around! With your broke ass!
I'll knock, but you just say please once. Please. Thank you.
There's somebody at the door. There's somebody at the door. There's somebody at the door.
What is it now?
Where is he? Because I got to tell you something.
Oh,
you hear what I'm saying, Paulie? Whoa!
Bad man. Mommy says you shouldn't play with guns.
I don't know how they both tripped on a singular skateboard, but whatever. I gotta go warn the other kids not to come to preschool tomorrow.
talking about?
Kevin gets picked up at a predictable place.
So, where you want me to drive, Miss Daisy?
Fuck you, Miss Daisy.
On the drive home, he passes the water fountain from the flashback, and the cacophony rant the Penguin gave him causes a change of heart.
Do you know the only difference between him and me is? He's Greek, he's white, and he's a god. He never tried to pass himself off as somebody he wasn't.
Although in 2006, he did attempt to pass himself off as a Kurt Russell movie, and that didn't turn out very well.
I got to go back. What? Why? The man's marriage is in trouble, man. I'm his oldest friend in the world.
Kevin returns and goes to deal with a bad boyfriend.
Yo, what's up, ST3.5?
What it is, soul brother?
Yo, what's up, kid? I've been looking for you.
Hang on a second.
Enhance. Enhance.
It's a rainbow flag, and when you cross-reference that with the fact that both writers on this film have the word gay in their name, that confirms it. Houseguest is queer propaganda.
That's quite gay.
Jesus Christ, it is no wonder I have started having dreams about getting raw dogged by Phil Hartman. This movie has ruined what was once a pure heterosexual mind of mine. Colby. Kevin takes Nick Cannon for a ride, and after almost colliding with a truck, decides to reroute onto the train tracks while using fast food as a metaphor to explain why cheating is wrong.
So you know what you do?
I don't know what I do.
You go down, get yourself some chicken McNuggets.
Yo, man, if you're hungry, we can go to Mickey D's, man. We can go to Ronald McDonald's.
So important.
Somehow I get the impression you're going to end up there regardless. This long scene is a mostly innocent joke, but it gets a little less funny when you learn that director Randall Miller actually did serve time in jail in 2015 as a result of negligence when he was directing the film Midnight Rider, because production was filming on a train track without proper clearances, causing camera assistant Sarah Jones to be struck and killed by a freight train. So to think this is one long joke about a kid's life in danger of possibly getting hit by a train, let's just say that joke hasn't really aged the best in the scheme of things. Kevin returns to Gary, telling him to pay attention to his kids and to not take a contract that would be a conflict of interest to his wife's yogurt business. So Gary quits his job and creams his boss's face.
Come on, Mother, let's go home.
Mother.
Upon returning home, the entire story comes to an impasse with another furious round of quick cuts.
I am the real Derek Bond DDS, and I strongly suggest that you lower that damnable weapon before you hurt someone.
Joey, I gotta do it. I gotta
kill the food.
This man is an imposter.
This man is a diddler.
I checked with the American Dental Association registry, and the photo of Derek Bond DDS shows a much uglier man.
Body shaming isn't cool.
Truly a great pleasure to meet the real you.
How many people come in and out of this apartment every day? This is worse than Grand Central Station.
I appreciate everything that you've done for me.
All right. Come on, my leg's killing me. Let's get out of here.
Is the back door open?
Is that the only time you've asked that today?
That man bamboozled you.
Well, at least he had good reason. I'm a young, damn it, not a worm. Someone attacks one of my friends, they attack me. I'm going after him.
In 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Sorry, was he too old for you? And for the second time, we have a Jeffrey Jones movie which ends with the protagonist on the run through the local neighborhood getting into a quick collection of misadventures.
Ooh, look, barbecue.
Eventually, they all cross paths. Kevin hands over his winning lottery ticket, and then 6 months and 4 days later, Kevin is the best-selling author of a handbook for house guests. And just what information could he have put in this handbook that would make him a #1 best-selling author? Did he just write, "Don't do everything I did for the first 85 minutes of this movie"? 'Cause I don't need a book to tell me that, that's kind of common sense. The film ends with Kevin and Gary singing the 12 Days of Christmas as rewritten by McDonald's.
5 onion rings, 4 dill pickles, 3 chocolate shakes, 2 apple pies,
and 1 big fat cheeseburger.
I like the Family Guy version better.
7 major milk and 6 major milk and 5 major milk.
Is Houseguest a good movie?
Yes!
Houseguest is a film which is rigorous with a lot of flaws, and it pretty much makes no attempt to disguise that. It's so thinly written that it essentially has one singular joke throughout the entire film. Kevin Franklin gets into a tricky situation, frantically has to improv his way out of it, and repeatedly manages to escape, but not without breaching multiple ethical guidelines or laws in the process. Tonally speaking, Houseguest is very whack, and yet also very comforting. The original draft of the script actually called for a much darker film, which makes sense if you look at the plotline of the movie, but the director did some uncredited rewrites on the film with his partner, and they made it into a much more lighthearted comedy, which was then bolstered by an incredible musical score by the Oscar-nominated John Debney. This movie came came out in 1995, after the 80s where kids movies could have the odd swear word or the odd titty shot, and before the early 2000s where kids movies were struggling to figure out whether they were meant to be for adults or kids. This one landed squarely in the 90s, where grown men could be uncomfortably folded with teenage girls or steal clothes from children after physically assaulting them as long as they meant well in doing so. Luckily, culture has shifted in such a way that if you put a character with these morals in a modern movie, you definitely couldn't play them off as any kind of a hero. Nonetheless, as the years have gone on, I've become more and more disappointed with Hollywood movies, in particular the output of Hollywood studio comedies. Now, the rise in PC culture does call for more inclusivity, less aggressive or passive-aggressive jabs at persecuted classes in more modern media, but at the same time, I do feel to a degree it stifled a lot of creative people. Todd Phillips, who directed The Joker, The Hangover, and Old School, has said he doesn't want to make comedy movies anymore because of the backlash of woke culture. Now, I really don't take anyone who uses that word unironically seriously, but I also can't help but wonder if the market really is drying up for a lot of comedy movies. The last time I went to see a proper theatrically released studio comedy at the cinemas was when Jackass 4 came out in 2022, and before that, it was Stuba in 2019. Yeah, I saw some movies along the way which were partially comedies while more so being blockbuster movies of other genres like the Sonic the Hedgehog films, but not just a straightforward star-studded studio comedy. In a post-COVID world, cinemas just aren't making the same money anymore, and with streaming platforms being the usual front where comedic material is getting dropped nowadays, studios are focusing on releasing 12.5 Marvel movies or 100 Conjuring spin-offs at the cinemas instead. I didn't even like the first Conjuring. Just stop fucking making those. Houseguest represents a more nostalgic era, a period where studios genuinely believed that star power alone was enough to warrant investing millions of dollars into producing and widely distributing a comedy film with a script so simplistic and unremarkable that neither of the writers even went on to earn Wikipedia pages.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Houseguest grossed $26.3 million on a budget of 10, which isn't exactly gangbusters, but it is still a modest success. A lot of people were also known to pick up this film on home video, so you could arguably call it a cult classic. I flew to America earlier this year, and the kind of entertainment being offered on the flight included multiple episodes of La Brea, all the movies Jurassic World Dominion, and Black Adam. That one I did actually watch, and I wouldn't recommend that to nearly anyone, especially not fans of The Rock. I wanted to watch something dumb and funny that would be quick-paced, not ridiculously serious, and just something that could occupy background noise while I'm playing ukulele on my Nintendo Switch that I can tune in and out of. These are movies meant to be had fun with, not meant to be tied into a universe of 100 million other things, or not meant to be a sequel slash spin-off slash reboot of a property that made over $1 billion in 1993 and now people are just clamoring to because they've got nothing else. Dumb comedy films do not have to make complete sense. They don't have to be groundbreaking. Their one goal is to make the audiences laugh. The script isn't always going to do that, but if a film makes a sincere effort to be shamelessly fun and silly, then it can create a lighthearted mood which makes for easy viewing. And you'll get that from unremarkable comedies like Mr. Deeds, National Security, or The Hot Chick. They all represent very much a similar thing that Houseguest does. Low stakes, quick pacing, and a narrative path so consistently predictable that it honestly becomes part of the joke to determine how each scene is going to end. For me, Houseguest is a film which is remarkable because of just how unremarkable it is. It knows its limitations and aims to simply be a family-friendly fun time which cuts between a series of ridiculous situations and has the two essential archetypes that a good buddy comedy needs. The straight guy, which is a role that Phil Hartman has always played to perfection, and the fish-out-of-water comic relief, played by Sinbad in arguably his finest movie role. Houseguest definitely leans too heavily on Sinbad's charisma for its first 15 minutes, and he struggles to keep the film's other noticeable mediocrities afloat, but Houseguest is so speedily paced that it's quick to pair him up with Phil Hartman and put him in a series of back-to-back ridiculous situations. And with that in mind, while I wasn't always laughing in Houseguest, I wasn't bored, because even though the film does have the odd sentimental moment, the odd dramatic moment, it's very quick to cut right back to the gags as soon as it can. And whilst not everyone is laughing at those gags, I certainly was. And that all boils down to the charisma of the movie's leading star, Sinbad. Prior to watching Houseguest, I only knew Sinbad for being in Jingle All the Way. I rewatched that film recently, and whilst that is a similarly silly, brisk-paced comedy, it was a very mean-spirited film, which was its biggest flaw. Sinbad was the highlight of that film, once again playing the comic rival to Arnold Schwarzenegger's straight guy. After seeing him in Houseguest, I was so overjoyed by his level of charisma that I decided to watch every movie he had been in. That was not a great decision actually, because Coneheads was lame, The Meteor Man was forgettable, and it took me 3 attempts to actually watch First Kid before I managed to get to the end. and I didn't laugh in that movie once. And if you look closely in First Kid, it's because you can tell Disney is not letting Sinbad be Sinbad. They're shoving him into a corner and making him deliver dialogue on a poorly written script. In Houseguest, you can see, and it's been corroborated by the director, that he improvised his way through a lot of the script. He lets unhinged energy out and gives it his all. Even critics of this movie that aren't fond of it, who think it's not particularly funny, all consistently say that Sinbad is the highlight of this movie, and he does have the energy for stardom. Sinbad's performance in Houseguest had me clamoring for more. I loved his overt silliness, his comic speed and timing, and most of all, his relentless dedication to the film. I've rewatched his monologue about the accident countless times because Sinbad's ridiculous degree of commitment to it was a perfect example of just how charismatic the man can be when he unleashes the fury.
Unleash the fury, get his shoe! What? Beat his testicles!
Also, I need to make a point of saying, nobody says the word bam like Sinbad, specifically in this movie. Not Mr. Chai City 3, not Elzar from Futurama. That's all Sinbad.
Bam!
Houseguest gets 7 bams out of 10. It may be undercooked in the writing department and the editing may feel like it's been frantically chopped into oblivion, but thanks to the brisk, shameless pace of this film, Sinbad's leading charisma and his chemistry with Phil Hartman, you've got a thoroughly undemanding comedic ride which is often funny and rarely boring. And that's the ultimate sin any movie can do, is be boring. Luckily this one isn't that. And that does it for today's episode of Delightfully Devilish, you guys. I would like to thank director Randall Miller for letting me interview him for this review. If you want to see that interview, you can just click the link below. Otherwise, I am just about to plug the movie I directed, so if you're not interested in that, I'm happy to end the conversation with you here.
Cheese it!
You still here? Cool, let me tell you about my movie. I finished a rough cut of the film in April. It currently runs at 93 minutes. I still have a lot of touching up to do, but there is a teaser trailer you can view online and a Facebook page for my production company, Tiny Samurai Pictures. So if you want to go ahead and check it out, I would love that. And I'm happy to keep y'all updated on the progress of the movie if the audience demands it. If not, I'm happy to just keep on reviewing these good bad movies because it's what I love to do and it feels good to be back. So until next time, I have been your host, Jukebox Harry. Bam!
This is Sinbad's house, and you my bitch! And I'm gonna show you how you come.